It's been a little while since we've talked about any updates on the Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt arrest, and that's mainly because things have been pretty quiet. A lot of stuff is playing out in family court, which is being kept private, so we probably won't be hearing anything substantial until a bail hearing. It's now been over a month of Ruby and Jodi sitting in jail, and from my understanding so far, there's no set date for any future bail hearings, so it could look like they'll be stuck in jail for quite some time still. We finally got a little bit more insight into what's been going on thanks to the news station KUTV, who've been following this case extensively. They obtain reports that give us a little bit more understanding on what happened on the day that Ruby was arrested and where Shari stands with Kevin Franke. A lot of people have been wanting to know if Kevin and Shari are on good terms, and according to these reports, that's highly unlikely. There's a lot to go over, so let's get into it. There's been a lot of questions surrounding the arrest of Ruby and Jodi, and as the days go on, more and more documents are starting to come out that help paint a better picture of what exactly happened the day they were arrested. What we knew last time was that the two youngest kids were located at Jodi's house, the two oldest siblings, Shari and Chad, were off on their own, and the status of the two middle siblings were unknown. KUTV released an article giving us a bit of insight into what Ruby did on the day that she was arrested and who she handed the two middle siblings over to. According to documents obtained by KUTV, officers showed up to Ruby's house, they knocked on the door, and after getting no response, they knocked down the door and made entry into the home. They found no presence in the home, which led them to reach out to Shari. They were told one of the siblings was at work and ended up leaving, saying that they had a family emergency. When police reviewed the footage of them leaving their work, they noticed that they were picked up by someone named Pam Botcher. Now, who exactly is Pam Botcher? Well, Pam herself was once involved in connections and apparently had very close ties to Jodi. This is what it has to say about Pam over on the Connections website. Pam Botcher is the president of Connections Foundation. She has a degree in interpersonal communications, a mother of 7 and a grandmother of 14. She has served for 6 years on the Symphony Board of Directors and 2 years on the Utah Metropolitan Ballet Board of Directors. Now, from what I've been seeing over the years with Connections, Pam never really seemed to have a direct involvement in the videos that Ruby and Jodi were making. We never saw her on camera, and it seems like she had a more of a behind-the-scenes involvement with Connections. Jodi's niece actually spoke out and confirmed that Pam was close with Jodi and had some involvement in what was going on over at Connections.
I asked Jessie if she knew Pam during her time living with Jodi.
Pam Botcher, when I was living with Jodi, Pam Botcher was around. She was Jodi's best friend. And I didn't realize that she was connected in this. I mean, I have very strong feelings towards Pam because of not that she was directly applying she wasn't actually involved, but she was one of the people that was constantly surveilling the surveillance of reporting back to Jodi.
So obviously the fact that the siblings were being picked up by Pam was very concerning. KUTV reported on Pam, writing, Springville officers were then heading to American Fork to speak with Botcher. They were contacted by Utah County Major Crimes detectives who were at a home in American Fork, and they told officers that both children were located. After dialogue and questioning, Botcher then explained that around noon that day, she received a call from Ruby Franke, who told her that she had a family emergency and asked if Botcher could pick up her 2 kids. According to Botcher, Ruby asked her if her 2 children could go to her house with her for a while. Botcher told the officers that the request was not odd, since she had the 2 kids over to her residence before to do housework and other chores for her. It seems a little bit strange to me that these kids were going over to what is essentially Ruby's co-worker's house and being made to do housework and chores for her. KUTV continued writing, the 2 girls were informed by a DCFS worker that they were to stay with their oldest sister, Shari, or be placed with a foster family. Initially, the 2 didn't want to leave Botcher's home, but were eventually placed with their older sister. What's interesting to hear is that they wanted to stay at Pam's house. It makes me wonder if since Shari was estranged from her family, maybe Ruby and Jodi had been feeding the rest of the siblings lies to make them think something was bad about Shari. Obviously, that's just speculation, but it would make a lot of sense. I'm sure they had questions and were wondering why they weren't seeing their own sister who they grew up with all of a sudden, and you just know, Ruby probably had some elaborate story about principles of truth lined out for them. That's not all we learned from KUTV. They also found out that Kevin Franke, the dad, may not be as clueless in this situation as his lawyer is making him out to be. There were some people who started to feel some sympathy for Kevin if he was truly manipulated by Jodi. I feel like no matter what, he's still the adult and he should have never, ever in a million years have been like, okay, or agreed to walking away from his kids. Whether he was told it would save his marriage or not, it doesn't matter. But still, there were some people who were like, manipulation like this can run deep, and we don't know what kind of mind games Jodi was using on Kevin. We've heard that Jodi has separated other husbands from wives before, and it seems like a pattern with her. Well, any sympathy anyone had has gone straight out the door. It was revealed by KUTV that Kevin actually tried to press charges against Shari during Ruby's arrest. KUTV reported that Shari was allowed to enter the Franke house and get some items for her siblings who she was now in the care of, and while in the house, she grabbed a few extra items. They wrote, a DCFS caseworker was also at the home gathering items for the 2 other children who were in the state's custody in southern Utah after they were located the previous day in Ivins at Jodi Hildebrandt's home. The caseworker informed police they believe Kevin Franke might be home and that he may not be cooperative, which is why they requested police assistance. When police arrived, the caseworker, Shari, and other family members were already in the home. All of them were further advised that they should not collect any items that do not belong to them or aren't needed for the children, the documents read. But I guess when Kevin arrived back at the home and had time to settle in, after a year of being away and completely abandoning his kids, he realized that some personal items allegedly belonging to him were missing, and he called the police and reported a burglary. KUTV wrote, Kevin allegedly reported that electronic items, specifically his electronic journals, were missing. He told officers he believes his oldest daughter Shari is responsible due to a statement she made in court day. The officer told Kevin the front door had been broken in after a search warrant was served days prior and not broken by his oldest daughter. Kevin stated that Shari is not allowed in the home and that he believes she entered unlawfully and he wants her charged with burglary. Read an officer's statement. Kevin states that he does not want any of the children mentioned in the home at this time. I again explained that they needed to get essential items of theirs that were in the home, which he did not seem to think was relevant. Like, this poor girl has been through so much. She's had to go off to school on her own, realize how wrong she was treated by her own family, remove herself from the situation, and literally do life without the people who raised her. She mended her relationship with her aunts and her uncles, and now has to deal with the stress of trials and media and what her mom allegedly did to her siblings. That's a lot for anyone to handle, let alone a 20-something-year-old girl who's in college to deal with. And yet here Kevin is wanting to add even more stress on her by trying to get her charged. KUTV reported that Shari later returned the items to a police station, which included 3 tablets, 3 cell phones, 3 cameras and GoPros, journals, and passports for Kevin, Ruby, and a sibling. The police then had to deal with Kevin and had to explain to him that they wouldn't be pressing any charges against Shari because she was allowed in the home to take items and he hadn't been in the home for ages prior to Ruby's arrest. KUTV continued, the officer said he explained to Kevin over the phone that due to the circumstances surrounding the incident, we would not be filing charges against Shari, and that would be considered a civil issue due to her intent not being to deprive him of the items. He, Kevin, advised that he was going to sue the police department, the officer wrote. Kevin was displeased with this answer and advised that we would be hearing from his attorney. Like, I'm sorry, but this does not sound like a man who took a year away and came back like this changed person. Threatening to sue the police department sounds like a line out of Ruby and Jodi's book, and trying to ruin his relationship with his daughter even more by trying to get her charged is disgusting. If there was nothing on any of these devices, would he really be that upset that they were missing? I can see getting upset about a missing passport, but why does he care about notes and laptops and cameras that he probably hasn't seen in over a year now? Kevin's attorney has been heavily participating in media interviews since Ruby's arrest, and he's been trying to paint Kevin as this dad who's trying to save his family, who was manipulated by Jodi, and just wanted to have his kids back. Trying to get Shari charged doesn't sound very let's fix our relationship to me. If anything, he should be thanking Shari for being the first one to break free of connections and shed light on what was going on. Kevin's lawyer was supposed to have an interview with KUTV, but ended up canceling it and instead offering this statement, which reads, Kevin didn't do either. He and Shari are working together on bygones and resuming a loving and healthy father-daughter relationship. Kevin is still trying to understand and correct the upside-down world that was dealt him. It's a lot to deal with all at once. Which sounds like lawyer talk for damage control to me. Trying to get his own daughter charged when she's now taking on the responsibility of caring for her 2 siblings is sick. To me, it sounds like Kevin hasn't changed, and I'm just happy Shari and the rest of the siblings are far away from that. So far, there's been no jail updates on Ruby or Jody, but when we do find out more, I'll definitely break it all down and let you all know. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about everything down below, and I'll see you next time.